You are listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast, a podcast by diehard fans for fans. Mark covers all things Penn State football and the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as anything related to the sports and fitness world. Tune in weekly to listen to a couple of dedicated fans talk about these topics without filters. Thank you for listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast.
What's up, mateys? Welcome to the Mark Lesko Podcast. I'm your host, J Rod, and this is Pirate Central. So my first pitch topic today is about failure. I feel as if the Pittsburgh Pirates fan base can give you the definition of what that is. So when you look at yesterday's results, getting swept by the Brewers for the second consecutive time. So we were 0-6 the last time we've played them. And then you turned around and, swept you swept the Dodgers first, and then you let that happen. I touched on it on last night's episode. Should be uploaded sometime this morning or sometime today. But this is currently Monday morning. And yeah, here we are, 64-80, being 16 games under 500. We're not going to have a 100-loss season. So, I mean, that's, I guess, one way you can look at a positive. But we haven't really been close to that since 2022. Again, that's not really the point of why, we always bring up this particular subject as Pirates fans. We don't know what else to talk about. We don't know how else to feel because we know what it is. They're failures at trying to be competitive. They're failures at trying to improve, and they're just failures in general. I mean, I think I heard someone talk about when you have these types of situations happen, it's a learning experience. It's a that's what you're supposed to do with failure. You're supposed to learn from it and be better. It's been a decade since the Pirates have been in the playoffs. As far as I'm concerned, if you don't make the playoffs, you haven't passed the test. Like, if we're going to compare like pass and failure like a test in school, the Pirates haven't passed their test in 10 years. They have had a failing grade every year since. I mean, they've had one season where they were over 500. So I guess that they got themselves like a C- in 2018. Everything else has been D or worse. And again, that's just all about the institution itself. You've got Dean Nutting over here, not really caring if the school gets better. Like, he doesn't care how many passing grades you have. And it's unfortunate. The fact that somebody could be, the owner of something, and what exactly is it that you own? You own a failing franchise. You own a baseball team that really doesn't have a fan base anymore. I feel like people go to the park in the summertime because, again, that's just a thing you can do. And it's not that expensive. I mean, they don't really charge a whole lot for ticket prices, I don't believe. It's like $60. I mean, that, to the average baseball fan or anyone who buys a ticket to a venue, like, $60, is almost nothing. So it could be even cheaper up in the nosebleed. I don't go for those types of seats. I always like to try to be on the field, like, down in the lower levels. Never in the leather seats where it's like, I think they charge like almost $300. No, don't do that. Can't afford that. But yeah, it's disheartening to know that they are failures and they're not learning from it. I am personally a person who struggles with that myself. Like, when I was in school, people always said, like, the reason why you fail is so you can learn to be better. And it's like, I just have no desire. Like, it wasn't my thing. So I just like to go and just be a part of, like, the school itself. I always like to see the people. And I guess that's kind of what these players' attitude generally is. I think these are genuinely decent guys, but the fact that they buy into this system. Again, I hate that it's like they have to basically be contractually obligated to never, poo-poo the organization, never speak ill will, like, they'll get some sort of fine for, talking against it. And it's like, guys, this is insane to this point. The fact that you're basically keeping these people, in that type of situation, like, it needs to be said. There cannot be one player that goes to the Pittsburgh Pirates organization and be like, yeah, we have bad luck. Like the things you can hear in their voice is just like, guys, I just want you to be completely honest. And if they were completely honest, I'm sure they wouldn't stop. I would hope so, in the sense, like, don't hold back. It would be there for a couple hours, just going into every detail as from top to bottom, why this organization just does everything it can not to be competitive. I don't know. And again, I've touched up on this before, that it's like, maybe it's a possibility that the MLB itself wants certain teams to be losers all the time. I don't know. Maybe they get a phone call at the beginning of every season, and they'll be like, all right, you're going to be a winner, you're going to be a loser. I'm not saying it's scripted, but it just seems like it's like, that's the thing. You watched this whole series this weekend. Again, I didn't see yesterday's game, but I kept up with as much of it as I could for the weekend, and they just didn't look like they cared. That is a problem. You just swept the Dodgers, and then the Brewers came in, and you were basically looking like, well, here come the big brother that's never going to let us play, so I guess we're just going to completely, fall down and just play dead. And it's pretty much what it was. Now, they did show a little fight in that first game, a little bit. But the minute that it was completely blown up, then you saw Saturday's game and then yesterday's game. And it just seemed like, yeah, we knew we were going to lose this one, and we're just done. I understand there's nothing to play for in this season, but when you are a failing team and you keep putting out these, like, the evidence like that you don't care with each new series that you play, you have to make it look like you actually want to be winners at some point. And they never do that. I thought they were, and then they don't. It's like the most unreliable thing. It's almost like when you have that friend who says they're going to quit smoking or they're going to stop drinking, and then a couple of days later they're just back on. It's like, how many times can I trust you or believe you when it seems like that's really what it is? It's like, you cannot predict this. I guess they don't want to try to control it. It's definitely a discouraging trait. And again, we're not idiots. I mean, anyone who's a Pirate fan, I don't think they're completely idiotic, but we kind of are. We're just holding on. Like, I've always known that when you are supposed to be loyal, you don't give up no matter what. And that has been the case. Every single season that I have seen from 2009 to now. Again, I have religiously followed this team since the 2009 season. I have not ever steered away. I have kept up with it at least 80 to 85% of the season, regardless of that record. And I just keep coming back year after year. And it's like, I'm not going to give up on this team. I cannot do that. Once I chose them, this is the team that I wanted. And I want them to be successful. I saw some success, but it didn't last because, again, they just refuse to. Again, there has to be something else outside of it's just, the small market thing. They don't spend money or whatever the traditional answers you have. There just has to be more to this than what is actually the results. Just have to be something else is there. And I don't know what that is. Again, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but the evidence just keeps pointing that it's like they don't care. And they don't want to be better. And it's just like they're more than happy with holding on to prospects and or the talent that they kind of have. And then when they go somewhere else, they are the best version of themselves. And it's like they can't wait to come back and stick it to us. And it's like the ownership expects it. Like they just want those guys to apparently come back and be a gracious, guest for the massacre that is about to partake, whether it's a pitcher or a hitter. It's like they had their greatest game of their season, or, at least they get their revenge. It's just the most ridiculous process that I think any fan base can ever be a part of. It's like, I don't know how it's like to be like let's say a Royals fan. I mean, I know they have their kind of stretches with like, they have losing seasons, they're always in like kind of last place. Maybe the Twins can also say something about that in that division. I know the Athletics have had their up and down things where it's like they show up, once every 10 years, but the rest of the time they're like the worst team in that division. The Angels can say the same thing. I'm looking at Washington Nationals, like they just won a World Series 6 years ago, and ever since then they've been in the bottom of the standings ever since. I think I saw, since they have won the World Series, the Washington Nationals have had the first place in the division. They've had the first place hold for like 2 days. In 6 years, that team has been in first place for 2 days. I don't even know if we can say that actually in the last 6 years, but that is the case. Some teams, again, they're just there, I guess, to be a punching bag for the rest of the division and just exist. Like, I can only imagine fan bases outside of here that are like that, where, you see success once every 10 years. And yeah, we kind of experienced that. But when we broke our losing streak, what was it, 20 years? In 2013, it was 20 years until we had a winning season up until that point. I would like to know any fan base that would like to go through 20 years of misery. I can't think of any sport off the top of my head that had that long a stretch of just mediocrity and patheticness. And here we are just trying to build another one. It is very unfortunate that failure does not necessarily guarantee that you're going to learn. It just means that you have now adapted a lifestyle into which you are accustomed and you just expect it almost. It's just like, that's the identity. And I don't know, again, what it's going to take. And I keep hearing the stories of the salary cap that might be induced by the 2027 year, because I know that's, again, when the contracts are up. I keep bringing this up because it's our only hope, guys. It is. And from the sounds of the players, we'll be lucky if this lockout does occur in 2027. It sounds like we'll be lucky if we have 2 seasons, let alone 1. I heard that these guys are ready to fight everything, and it's insane. Like, I just hate that we are about to go through a couple of years of misery in baseball, because, again, it's not that this is like it's a most popular sport in the country. I mean, this would right here just pretty much put the final nail in that coffin if, these guys do everything they can to fight this for the sake of making money. It's like, where are you going to go to the Japanese leagues? Are you going to like start creating some league outside of the country? Like, what? This was the national pastime. It's been in this country for over 200 years. Like, almost 200 years. But still, it's been a long-standing thing. I mean, I'm not trying to compare it to classical music, but it's basically been around since like that kind of stuff. And are we really ready to just let something like this go? Because what? People just don't like how the players are. The sport itself is too boring. Like, it just breaks my heart as a baseball fan to hear people speak so ill will. Like, oh my goodness, how in the world could you enjoy something so boring? It's in me. Like, it's in a lot of people. Like, I know it's a small percentage that it used to be, but I know there are still millions of people out there that really understand why this game is special. And I just only hope that we're about to witness something that will forever keep this sport a thing, start making like the small market teams competitive, and have a chance for everyone to enjoy something. And then the fan bases can come back and actually have something to look forward to, instead of whatever we have, where the rich are always, in the conversation and the poor just are lucky just to participate. And it's got to be fair for all. It's got to be right for all. I don't want to say fair. I hate using the word fair because then people do that whole stupid "life isn't fair," come back, and I don't ever want anyone to repeat that. So it's like, no, we're trying to do what's right for everybody. So hopefully this does occur again, knowing that this team has this failure identity. I don't want it anymore. I don't want it for anybody. I just think that in the sense, like, that you have to be competitive, and sometimes you're not going to be. But when you settle into this type of setup, it's not right, and it needs to change. So with that said, guys, on the first pitch, we're into the 7th inning stretch, and we're going to be moving into the upcoming series at Baltimore and Washington. Now we're into series where it's a little more, even. Not that, last week didn't terrify me, but, those are first place teams competing for World Series. These guys are not. In fact, again, you talk about falling from grace. I know that the Orioles have been like one of the more interesting stories of baseball in the last couple years. And now here they are kind of in our area once again. It's the same thing with the Nationals. These are two teams that pretty much have slated that they are going to be, not really there. And I believe, if I'm right about this, I think Charlie Morton will pitch for the Orioles. 40-year-old Charlie. Ground shock, again, another failed idea that's like they used him for something in Pittsburgh and he never showed it really with them. And then as soon as he left, I think he won 2 World Series, one with Houston, and I believe the other one was with Atlanta. And yeah, now it's So I look at the docket for tonight's game or tomorrow night's game, and they don't play today. Tomorrow night's game, they don't have anyone slated. Yep, they don't have anybody slated again. And Paul Skeens will pitch, on Wednesday night's game. Again, it should give, the players that are struggling a chance to do something to improve somewhere. But again, that's just up to them. That they're going to choose whether to show up at these series or not now. That's just the way it is. Like, they're contractually obligated. They are, they have to show up. And do they have to play? No, but I really hope they do. It's important for you to try to do everything you can, at least win games, regardless of if it means anything. I mean, it means something, again, for improvement. It means something for when fans come and watch, like, they don't want to see you not show up. Like, it's almost like someone, like, when you go to work, it's like you don't do work. Or like, who wants to have you come there and not do something? Like, it's insanity to watch a team just basically not show up. But that's how they want to handle things. Again, I've been very down on it because it's not easy. It's not easy doing these shows because I want to love this team and I want to show the positives, but they don't want to do that. They have just completely given up on the season. They're ready for the off season, and who knows if even in the off season they will, lift a finger to try to do something for the 2026 season, which again should have so much opportunity for something. And again, it's up to them. But as a fan, I just can only hope that they just try their darndest to show up for next year. These upcoming series are just really kind of, again, showing that maybe 1 or 2 players can improve by the end of the month and just have a decent season. Like I'm just saying, we're striving for decent. That would be like a gift if it was decent. But yeah, so closing out with this, guys, I know that the playoffs are coming soon, and you relive certain memories. And naturally, the only one that we can think of is the one from 2013 where we had a winning game against a wild card team. I was just 26 at the time, and I thought that was the perfect age to watch this team go on a tear. You're really young at that point. You have the life experience you've had, but you have so much ahead of you. Again, that's been 12 years now. 12 years since that epic blackout game in October. It was one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen. Anything that you can think of, apologize, anything you can think of for that setting. Like, it was just magic. Everything was cool. Everything was just the perfect, release of joy because, again, it had been decades since that team had been in the playoffs, and showing how passionate the sport is and how passionate the city is for their sports teams. And that's just why I do like Pittsburgh. There's a lot of passion in those fans. That game yesterday against the Steelers and Jets, oh my goodness. I can only imagine the Steelers fans that were there to witness that one. That was such a electric thing to witness. Oh, so cool. And yeah, you want to be a part of that. You want to try to make it to that. That's what it's all about, getting at least to that opportunity to do the ultimate thing, which is win a championship. And yeah, and it's been a decade since we've even touched that. So I can only hope, once again, I keep doing that, hope, that it can happen sometime soon. And a lot of us, who, again, now I'm going to be almost 40, and it's just like the fact that I haven't seen a World Series in my lifetime it's very unbelievable to know that you can go an entire stretch of your life where you haven't seen something of that nature. Again, I can only imagine what Cubs, like, that's probably the ultimate one. They last World Series, they were in 1908, and then they won one in 2016, 108 years. Please do not let that be the case for the Pirates. Please don't do that. I just beg of you, just try your darndest next year and keep pushing through the rest of the season, and hopefully it gets better after this point. So hopefully these losing years are behind us, and we can look to the future, and maybe things will be bright. Who knows? Again, we may not have baseball in a couple of years, but I can only hope that the result from that is that it comes out as the best version of itself, and we can enjoy baseball from here on out. So I will, again, continue to do these episodes weekly, and I will see you guys for the next one. I thank you for watching, and until then, let's go Bucks.